What's going on, everybody? Another episode of Blacklisted Voice. This is episode, didn't look beforehand, best guess, it's 22. Well, I guess we'll see. Today, we're going to talk about kind of developing the coach-athlete relationship, how we go about it, why it's beneficial for clients to have that coach-athlete relationship. That's something that we as a company kind of pride ourselves in, is developing that and being a little bit more connected to our clients through that. So we thought we would just kind of chat a little bit more and give some information out as to why that is beneficial for the client and helping them kind of like reach their potential. Logan and Matt are with us today. How's it going, guys?
Oh, going pretty good, man. Going pretty good.
Right on.
Good day.
Yeah. Matt's drinking LaCroix. Logan's drinking a Diet Coke. And
I'm getting all the aspartame.
Yeah. I got hot chocolate from Starbucks. So right on. Cheers.
Super manly.
Yeah.
No shame.
I wanted to take some points away. I go out and kick. I think 2 years ago, I went through like a whole like pound or 3 pound of hot chocolate in a winter period.
Oh my gosh.
That sounds delicious.
Yeah. Cool. So how would you guys define a coach athlete relationship? I think it's probably a little bit different for every coach. So what do you guys kind of look for in that, or how do you define that?
So I don't think one definition exactly works, because it's athlete to athlete, what the athlete needs from a coach, what the athlete wants from a coach.
Yeah.
So I'd be hesitant to just throw a blanket of like, this is how it should look. It really is, what does the person need? And what do you think the best way to work with them is to help them be as successful as possible?
Yeah. So you take the coach wears many hats type approach to the relationship. Yeah. Is that kind of your thought process too, Logan? Or oh man, he might have froze again. Well, I think he'll be jumping back in. But yeah, I mean, I think as you start to kind of like work with your clients a little bit more, you kind of start to see what exactly it is that they are looking for or need out of a coach. I think you working in more like the fitness side of things, you kind of see like the friendship aspect of it a little bit more probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, working on the competitive side, it seems that you kind of wear like and maybe this isn't the case, but you kind of wear like the therapist hat a little bit more, or like the guider or mentor, kind of like these are the life lessons and the life steps that you need to kind of like help improve you as a person so that you can reach kind of your full potential as a competitor. I don't know if you would also agree with that or not, Matt.
Oh no, the mental game is huge. And I mean, I was just listening to a podcast today of a guy he's made his past 26 years of life working with athletes on the mental side, and only the mental side.
Okay. Who is that?
Give me a second. I can get
Okay. Yeah. Welcome back, Logan.
David.
Sorry about that.
I might be butchering his last name.
What was it, Matt?
David Neath.
Okay. Right on. And what, like, he just kind of works like he's a sports psychologist type thing, or?
In a sense, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Logan, how would you, I don't know if you heard Matt's definition, but it was kind of along the lines of like coaches wear many hats. And that's kind of like how Matt kind of defines the relationship with coach and athlete. Is that kind of your thought process as well, or?
Yeah, for sure. I would say the coach needs to be exactly what the athlete needs. And it's your job as a coach to understand the most of what the athlete cares about, and then how to help them get to that point as best as you can. And with any relationship, no matter what the athlete is looking for in their coach, it starts with trust, and building that trust with your athletes is something that it for sure takes time. But in every relationship with an athlete, you have to have it, or else it'll be limited. Because for me, if they don't trust you, then a lot of times they're not going to follow what you give them as quite as they should. They may not listen to you like they should, whether strategic in a workout or things that you might tell them about their training, or things that they should improve upon. If you have that trust, then they're just going to listen to your words just a little bit more. And it just takes time. It takes time, and you have to earn it, and you're not going to have it. You know, some people are more trusting naturally. Some people, you really have to work at it. Some people may never give it to you fully. But I think it's just an ongoing fight for that, and, you know, finding out how best you can serve them and their specific needs.
Yeah, for sure. So like, what are some questions you might ask, or things that you personally try and do to build trust with some of your athletes?
And for me, a lot of times I just ask, like, what are you looking for? Like, when you coach, when you contact me or reached out, like, what did you want? And just kind of maybe like, what have you had in the past? What do you like? And you'll kind of give them examples too, because I think we were talking about this the other day, and some people, they don't really know what they're looking for as far as like athlete coach relationship. They might not know the benefit of having a good athlete coach relationship, or that those intangible things actually do go a long ways. So yeah, I mean, a lot of times I just ask, and it's just, you know, getting to know them. And, you know, we're a remote coaching company. But, you know, I think, you know, the easiest way for me to have like a better relationship with the athletes is like, you know, I've had, you know, athletes come here and train for a weekend. I've had gone to athletes and trained with them for a weekend, and it like instantly just boosts your relationship so much. And even if it's not like actually, you know, engaging and like coaching 24/7 for that weekend, maybe it's just like just chilling out over dinner, or just hanging out, driving to training. Like, it's stuff like that I think goes a long ways, and just kind of like breaking down barriers of like awkwardness, and just like like a friend to the athlete as well. That's my favorite, probably one of my favorite parts, coaching at right now, and something I enjoyed, just having that, you know, that being able to have stuff like that that's outside of the gym. It has been really cool to see, and it's for sure, you just can get a lot better understanding of who the person is, what their needs are, maybe how to coach them better. And it's one of my favorite, you know, kind of ways to do it. But like I said, like, a lot of people are looking for different things, and I think if you show them the right way, and not the right way as in like there's one way for every athlete, but if you show them the right way and taking the time to develop that relationship, then they'll come to really enjoy it. And some people aren't looking for like their coach to be like their, like, talk to them every day, or like, you know, tell them, you know, things that are super close to them, or, you know, like that kind of relationship. But some people are. So it's just up to you to figure out what type of person you're dealing with.
Yeah, for sure. I think like the biggest thing that it boils back down to is like showing the person that you care about them, both like their goals inside the gym, and then them as a person as well. And like, if they have some shit going on in their life, like, you ask them about it, and you talk to them about it, and you listen to them, and like, it might not be anything that you can like fix, you know, but at least like you can understand, you know, from that point on, why maybe they had a shit training day, or, didn't show up in the gym for a workout that you're expecting them to crush. And like,
Right.
that helps you as a coach. And as well, I think it helps them, like, knowing that you kind of understand what's going on inside their life, and like not expecting them to perform every single day in the gym, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, like, going back to what you're saying is like knowing what they have going outside their life, or what's going on inside the gym as well. And just like how you talk to them. Cause like there's, I mean, I have athletes that if I talk to athlete A, like I talk to athlete B might not want me to coach him anymore. So it's like, you just got to know the person really well, because like, sometimes we've all said things that in retrospect maybe wasn't the best coaching thing to say, and maybe feelings or like took the wrong way and they took it personally, something like that. But I think really knowing the person and the ones that maybe you have to be a little bit more sensitive to, or things like that goes a long ways. And it goes a long ways in being able to keep the relationship and keep your athlete not burn out, and keep coming back for more.
Yeah. That was something that I had to learn a little bit of the hard way coming out of the Marine Corps. Was like, you got to be a little bit more sensitive to people, and kind of like there's some people that need to just be kind of like nudged and not pulled, if that makes sense.
For sure.
So yeah. I mean, I think it's definitely like the many hats model is like, you kind of have to, there's many aspects of it, and many kind of like, different avenues of approach to like coming up and showing that the individual cares. So what do you do for like athletes, or what do you guys do for athletes that like you don't need to be as hands-on with? Like, how often are you checking up on them, or looking in on what they're doing, or just trying to like ask them about what's going on in their life type thing?
Man, I think sometimes it's, if it's an athlete that, maybe I get maybe not as much communication with, or for whatever reason, not as many dates, it's just kind of checking in with them every now and then, just to make sure everything's going okay. How was this training session? How are you feeling? Sometimes I'll respond with, is there anything we could do in training to make you, maybe your training isn't going like you want it to. Maybe you're not liking your training today.
Yeah.
You're not liking your training, and that's going to cause you to do it. Then we got to meet in the middle somewhere.
Right.
Because like some of what you need to work on is better than none of what you need to work on. So yeah, just like simple questions like that. Maybe asking them some like training questions, like, I saw you did XYZ, how was that? Or, tell them about something that you did, or, something like that, just to kind of, because some people, I mean, that was the thing that I realized when I first got into, coaching, and especially remote coaching. Some people are just not very good at communicating. So I think getting people to communicate a little better is a skill too. Like sometimes you have to almost like nudge people that way, like nudge people to communicate more.
Yeah. And like that,
still trying to figure out the best way to do that. But
yeah. I think that's a constant battle, like especially like with writing designs and writing progressions for people. Like if you're not like, communicating like, hey, I'm feeling this in my knee every time I squat, or I'm feeling this in my ankle every time I squat, and then all of a sudden it's like you get this like, hey, my ankle really hurts, I skipped my squats, and you're like, well, why does your ankle hurt? And you're like, well, I came down a rope climb weird about 3 weeks ago, and it just hasn't been feeling great from that. And you're like, wait, why didn't you tell me about this? But I mean, like just even not from a training standpoint, but like, I've had several people that have been going through school, and like finals pop up, and all of a sudden, like, they're killing it. And all of a sudden, like they they kind of fall off the face of the planet and you're like, yo, what's going on? You only hit like, 190 for your back squats instead of, 200 plus for your sets of 4. Like, they're like, well, finals are coming up. Like, I've been studying a lot for those, stressed out about those. And they're like, oh, okay. So like, let's take you back a little bit. Let's put you on like, a little bit of a maintenance for, 2 weeks leading up into finals and kind of give you some easier work that's going to allow you to kind of sustain over the course of finals to not destroy yourself,
Yeah.
So
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And like, if you're not asking those types of questions, like, and you're not really like invested in like, seeing the results and being really studious on like, okay, you hit this last week, this the week before, and then all of a sudden it's that. Like, that's a part of relationships too, is like being studious in what they're reporting to you, because then if you're not looking at it, it's like, well, they're gonna notice. Trust me, athletes notice when you're looking and you're not paying attention. Even if they don't for a while, they're gonna start to.
Right.
And I think that just from feedback that I've gotten from people that have come from other coaching organizations and frustrations, that's like the number one thing. It's like, oh, like they were coaching me. It was just like they were programming for me. Or they were copy and pasting other workouts from other, like I was just getting the same design from, everyone else.
Right.
And I think that kind of frustrates people.
Yeah.
So,
and people catch on to that real quick. And and they, when you're not, people know when you're not invested in them personally.
Yeah.
Like
for sure.
Brings it back to like, your design is for you and your results reporting is for you, and we're making sure that we're looking and taking, notice of what's going on in the gym for you.
For sure.
And like, that can happen real fast.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
I think there's also there's lots of other athletes that you'll deal with that like I think it's just personality types that go into it, but they'll ask you, why are we doing this? Why don't we do this instead of this? Or I think we should do this to work on this. And I actually like that. Because it just it brings a lot of like, just, you get to chat about training more.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, you get to figure out like what kind of progressions they like. Like that's one of the things that I've found is like the most difficult is like personality types matching up with like the design that they like best. So like I have one girl who just kind of like, she wanted EMOM stuff and like on a clock all the time. And it was like something that I had never had like much experience writing. I was like, okay, like, let's do it. Let's see how it goes. I'm a little bit hesitant to write this because I think you need something a little bit different, but let's see how it goes. And it actually worked out freaking great. What it allowed her just to take her mind off of everything that was going on outside of the gym and just focus on a clock and then focus on what she was doing in the gym. And like, I would probably, never write that in a million years, but because we had open dialogue and open communication about it, it started to warp itself into that. And now she's making like significant gains inside the gym, working on things that she needs to work on, but in a different, time structure and manner than I would normally write, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Being in that EMOM setting, for if somebody's got a stressful life going on, that can be the best thing for them, because now they're only thinking about the clock and what they're trying to get done, and they can get into a flow state, and that's a flow state's gonna beat the best progression you've ever written.
Right? Yeah. It's like actual like training and deep focus at that point in time, rather than just like constantly thinking and like trying to manipulate whatever it is that is your progression for that week. Oh, it looks like we lost Logan again. But yeah, it's that was like something that I would probably never written, or maybe not never written, but wouldn't have really thought of. So it's kind of cool to see that and like opening the lines of communication that way. And you get to, there's some people that enjoy like linear progressions, and there's other people that enjoy kind of like chaos. And so it's, to Logan's point, like, focusing on talking about training is very beneficial to figuring out what that person wants at that point in time, and what that person kind of enjoys a little bit more. I know you kind of like the linear progressions a little bit more, Matt.
It's usually some variation of a linear progression, but what variable of that linear progression gets adjusted is based on the athlete.
Yeah, for sure. So I mean, like, I mean, we've kind of hit on this a little bit, but what are some of the biggest benefits that you guys kind of see from the athlete side? I know we've kind of hit on both, like the coach and the athlete side. Like the coach obviously can write a little bit more fine-tuned progressions, but what are some things from the athlete's perspective that they can kind of gain from having a little bit better relationship with their coach?
I would say a support, like someone else to add to their support network. Like especially in CrossFit, like it's a super stressful sport, and another just like have and support you through hard workouts, hard qualifiers, ups and downs. Like the more longevity you will have, like I promise you, like having a good coach and someone that actually cares about you and your success, and developing the relationship more and more, is huge in staying in the sport, I would say, for a long period of time. Like for me, personally, I didn't really ever think that I needed that specifically, but I definitely do, and need it like quite a bit. And I would say for me, and like having you as my coach, like it's more to me than I ever thought it would. Like it's for longer than I thought I would. Just being in the sport, and then just having someone to like always do about just like ups and downs, and like someone else that's been there trying to do the same stuff is like meant more to me than I ever thought it would. And to the point where it's like, I'm not saying this is the case, where it's like almost like even if there was someone else that programmed better and I didn't have as good a relationship with them, it wouldn't even be worth it. It's like past the point where anyone else could like do better programming wise and it'd be worth it, which I think is like pretty cool to like sit back and look at, that a relationship with the coach could mean that much.
Yeah, for sure.
So like ultimately I think that's like the goal to get, like the ultimate goal to get to is like, an athlete wanting to stay with you just because your relationship is, has been developed to a certain extent where the relationship is almost more valuable than the programming, though the programming is very, very good.
Yeah.
So
you can talk shit, it's all good.
No. I mean, no, I'm not. I just don't want you to think that like.
I'm just kidding. Yeah.
The programming's garbage.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as like longevity, and that's something that our biggest thing too is longevity. Like we don't want you to burn out in a year or two. We want you to do it for as long as you want to, and not be limited by injury or burnout and stuff like that. So yeah, like longevity as far as athlete coach relationship, I think that's like the highest. And just like I just think it makes it more fun. Like
for sure,
having someone to go through it with is just makes it more enjoyable.
Like when you win, not only for yourself but the other person too, is like that much more enjoyable. Like you're like shared this like journey together. Like this is sick as fuck.
Oh yeah, dude. I remember I finally got over 500 cals on the assault bike. And I think I like called you right after. I was like, dude, I did it. But that's
Yeah.
all I got. I just wanted to tell you.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. For
Yeah,
sure.
but that's
Yeah.
cool. Like, it's cool to be able to have that.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just like, it's kind of like that for the athlete, it's almost like that extra drive. Like, I know the work that you're putting in and how much you're invested into me. And like, I don't want to let that individual or that coach down because I know how invested they are into me. And I'm going to put forth my best effort to, improve and get better and like, succeed. And athletes tend to draw their motivation from several different, aspects of life, as they should. And that is just kind of like something that can be an added, benefit or bonus onto or into that motivation factor for that athlete. So
absolutely.
yeah. What else do you guys have on that?
So to piggyback on a little bit of Logan's point, so not only like having that support network for the stress, but also like having a coach that you trust, like that drops stress levels right there. So not only do you get that support network, but if you have a coach that you're going to run through a brick wall, if that's what is in that day's program, like you're not worried about your training. You're just going, okay, what am I doing today?
Yeah.
Save some stress.
For sure. Yeah. Dang it. I just had a thought to piggyback off. I almost forgot it. Crap. That sucks. But yeah, that's, that is definitely a huge aspect to training, is like the de-stress factor of it, for sure.
Yeah. And like, just to like, if you trust, like if there's an open workout and your coach tells you to do this, and this, and you trust them, you don't have to go watch 6 different open video strategies to like confirm what they said, or like, oh, well, this person told me this and this, should I do this? Like, if you trust your coach, then that's the only person that you'll listen to, and then you'll just take that down and go attack it.
Yeah. So how much of that do you think is like the athlete having to put some shit aside and actually buy into what the coach is saying, and how much of that do you think is like the coach having to get them to buy in? Does that make sense? Because it's like a two-way street. It's not like the coach just gets the athlete to buy in or the athlete's bought in right away. Like, how much of it is like the coach and how much of it is the athlete? Does that kind of make sense? Or
yes. Man, that's hard. I would say that 100% coachability and coaching is something that is, I don't know if it's like, if it's a trait that like you naturally get, or if it's just like how you were raised. Because like there's some people that I've coached that like, I could stand in front of them and just say whatever I want them to do, and they'll do it all the time. They'll do it perfect. I'll never have to wonder if they're doing it right. And they'll just do it. So like, there's some people like that it's 100% them. And then there's some people that maybe it's like, a lot of people in sport are just have so much anxiety. Like they feel like they're not doing enough. They're not doing the right things. And so like it's not that they don't trust you. It's like, if I don't feel like I got a good workout and then I didn't, or if I didn't feel like today was productive, even though it was, then they're still going to do something else.
Right.
So I think it's a little bit of both. And I think the coaching side only has so much of an impact to a certain extent. Like, to a certain extent, the athlete just has to be like, okay, I'm going to be disciplined. I'm going to say, I'm going to do whatever my coach tells me to do. And, keep the lines of communication open. Maybe there's some things that we could do differently to be able to follow it more closely. Because that's a conversation that I do have. Like, what's something that we could do to make you follow this a little bit better? Like, is there something that you don't like or style? Because like, I can change some things to make them, maybe you just like you said, like an imam or, something like that. So I think it's just, there for sure is a ceiling to what the coach can impact. And then the rest is up to the athlete. And then there's some athletes that you get that are just they'll do whatever you say, and you
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that you don't develop the relationship and create buy-in and stuff like that. It just makes it way easier.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
But as a coach, like it's your job to figure out which type of person that is and how you need to get them to the point where they need to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Or how, or maybe like how much buy-in like you need to actually have from them to like make them successful,
Yep.
Because you might not need full buy-in from them for them to reach their goals. And then, maybe once they meet their goals, they're like, oh shit, this person knows what they're talking about. And you get a little bit more buy-in from them.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
It's like that's I think an interesting like discussion. That's probably like, I don't think there's probably any right answer to that. And like everyone's so unique to that. And I think that's kind of where, some of the art form of learning people comes into play, and like trying to do as much as you can as a coach, but I mean, you can see it all the time on like, Instagram or anywhere, like athletes almost always go off script. And to a point, I think that is okay, especially at the highest level, but sometimes like it can be, unhealthy for the relationship at the same time.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And I think that's another thing is like, if you can like have a little bit of like freedom within training so they can go off script to where you're at least knowing about it. I think that's something that I've done that's been really beneficial. Like, okay, you've been doing class workouts every single day on top of this, and then sometimes I give you the same thing that you just did. Let's take a step back and be like, okay, if doing that is important to you, then let's do that. That'll be your sports specific training for the day. You'll do the class workout. I'll give you the other things that you need to work on, and we'll call it there. Because then you don't have like this thing of like, oh, I can't post this on Instagram because it's not what my coach told me to do.
Right.
So then it's like, you just don't run into that, and it's just it leads to a better relationship.
Yeah. And I think it also helps them to kind of like explore, one, what they're looking for a little bit more, and then two, what their some of their weaknesses or different priorities that they might have pop up, because like writing CrossFit workouts is a creative thing, and somebody's going to have something that's like a little bit different than what you're used to programming. So like they can, and if you keep the lines of communication open, and all of a sudden they hit this weird ass workout with their friends on the weekend or something like that has like tons of upper body pressing density, like strict handstand push-ups mixed with like ring dips and burpees or something like that, and they're like, oh, my triceps or my pecs blew up or my lats blew up on those or something, like, oh, I probably would have never, that would have taken us a while to figure out. So like that's a cool thing that we can start to work on and train. And like if you have the trust and you have the open lines of communication, that's something that you can start working on, or working towards if it's a limitation in the sport. So
absolutely.
What other kind of things do you guys think are like beneficial for the athlete from like a coach athlete relationship?
So I think just so if you don't necessarily have someone who has that full buy-in, just getting little results usually lead to more buy-in. So just one little progression, get a little bit of progress, and have them be like, oh, this works. And slowly over time, they'll be like, yeah, this guy might know what he's talking about. And some people it just takes a little bit longer, and results as well, combined with like the athlete knowing that you care about them and you know what's going on in their life. Those two things can create a lot of trust.
For sure. Are there like little things that you kind of like to do, like progression wise, to start people off? Like if you're starting up with a client and you're like kind of unsure if they have like full buy-in or not, are there some things that you've done, little things or little progressions that you've done that have worked, Matt?
It's going to be based on what the client's telling me. So like if they're telling me like they have shoulder pain every single time they do a ring dip, I want to see if I can help them get out of that by with the progression. Or if they're telling me like their strength has been stuck. All right, let's see if we can do a strength progression or gymnastics. So whatever seems to be high priority to them, if I can get them some results in that area, since it's their highest priority, that can usually help supercharge that results creating buy-in process.
For sure. Yeah. So one of the things that I kind of like to do and like is very beneficial, and that I think is pretty beneficial for building the relationship, is learning what kind of motivates the athlete a little bit more. And we kind of touched on this a little bit in the Why podcast, but I think that's super beneficial for motivation to use with the athlete. Especially, I really like to use it like when you're in person or at a competition. Like Amanda the other day, sorry for using you as an example, Amanda, but she was doing the fitness qualifier, and like she was doing one of her retests, and you know, she was on her last row before she got to some other stuff in the workout. And you know, she's always kind of, or recently she's kind of, you know, had some doubts about her abilities, and so we've kind of chatted about that. And so I just, like, on her last row, I was just like, prove to them that you should be here. And like, it was like just the spark that she needed to just set off the last row and just go freaking hard as fuck on that thing. And so like that was, but like that came because we have open dialogue, and we have, you know, communication in like on a daily basis. You're able to like light that kind of fire that they need to finish out and close out a workout or perform really well at a live competition. That's like one of the sickest things, is seeing somebody like get fired up after you like say something to them.
Yeah. Oh, dude. Yeah. For sure. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, yeah, getting to know what motivates them, and just like conversations, you know, that you've had, you know, just about training and what, you know, I remember there was athlete, she kind of made the comment that she doesn't really go to the dark place very much. Mm-hmm. And we were doing a workout that it ended. It was like rowing and devil's press. And she was like on her last set of devil's press. And, you know, I just kind of yelled like, this is where you go to the dark place. Like, this is it. Like, go there. You know, like this is literally what we were just talking about, and it's what you need to work on. It's a little reminder, be like, this is it. And yeah, like that's for sure. I remember there was one time where back in regionals, I went to a camp. It was the first time you'd worked with me in person, and I remember I was doing a snatch workout, and you were like, "Do you want to go to regionals or not?" And I was just like, "Yes!" I remember getting so pumped. But yeah, man, that's good. But like, and I would say, you know, maybe not the coaching side, but like training partners too. Like, if you can get a training partner that knows how to motivate you, like that's awesome. Like one of my buddies that I train with, like he can get me to go there really, really well. Sometimes he gets me to go there too much. Like you gave me like a 400-meter run for time, and I on an air runner, and like I smoked it. But like in the middle of it, he's holding up a whiteboard that says, "How bad do you want it?" And man, I was done after that. My entire posterior chain was just done. Yeah, but it's just those little things that like push you to that next level that can make a difference.
So to also put some context in this, Logan had a lot of rest, and then an 800-meter run, and a lot of rest, and a mile run after that 400 in this workout.
Yeah.
The tank on the 400.
Yeah. Yeah, my day was done.
That's sweet. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think like that's probably one of the coolest things. Like, but you only can get the athlete to go to that place, and the athlete can only benefit from that if you guys have, open lines of communication and are talking and getting to know that individual. And if you're just getting a program, like, you're getting a huge disservice, and you're missing out on all of that other, extra added stuff that comes in from having a coach, and the coach getting to know you and learning, like, what motivates you.
Oh yeah.
And, one thing that I think is like just super important, but just we may have already touched on this, but like just belief in that individual, and belief that that individual can be better than what they came to you as, and seeing the potential in that individual. And it goes, I think that kind of wraps back into caring about the individual. But like, I think some people get, motivated off of like, prove them wrong, or fuck the haters, or whatever phrase you want to like go with. I think that you can have so much more success coaching an individual. Maybe that individual needs some motivation from outside and an outside chip on their shoulder. But if they have somebody in their corner that believes in what they want to accomplish and believes that they can get to that place, I think is an unbelievable tool for that athlete to have. And like, they are, you're just so much better when you have somebody that believes in you. So
I kind of forgot about that kind of point, but like, someone that believes in your goals. And it's kind of one of those things that, like, because I've heard like stories of like coaches, telling their athletes that like they don't think that they could get or sanctionals, and then actually those athletes ended up doing it. And so like, I've never been one, even if I think it's a long shot, and even if I don't think it could happen, like I just never ever want to be the person to be like, you know what, I don't think that's right for you. Like, I'll have a conversation about like, these are the you need to improve upon there, and these are the metrics, and or even if it be other things like, I think you're better suited for team, or something like that. And I would never want to be anything to like someone to think less of themselves. Or like, it could be something like, okay, you say that you want to go to sanctionals, but you're not putting forth a sanctional level effort here, so it could be like one of the things. Or you want to go to the games, you're not living like a games athlete or training like a games athlete. We need to adjust some things. So always just believing in your athletes, and not making it fake. Like, not saying you can do it, like I know you can, but like being real, like, if you want to do that, I'll be here to help you, but these are the things that we need to accomplish.
And like, going back to what you kind of said, is like, these are like the things that you need to have in place. Like, I don't ever want to tell somebody like your dreams cannot be a reality, I think that's one of the most like fucked up things you could ever do to somebody. Like, just tell them instantly that you don't believe like they're capable of doing something. But you also don't want to have the fake, like, oh yeah, like let's do it, you just gotta grind every day, like the false motivation to like get that there. But you do have to have like those real conversations with the individual of like, okay, like we've seen what games level athletes are doing, sanctional level athletes are doing, and like, these are the things that you're not doing, like sleeping 8 hours a night, you're not taking your training seriously enough, you're not focused enough in your training, like you need to like get your nutrition in check. And like, those, you can tell somebody that you think they can get there, but you can also have the hard conversations with them about like, these are the things that you have to be doing. I still think you can get there, or I think like it's capable for you to get there, but like, you also have to get these things in line. I think over time, like, people start to understand that they might not want to do what it takes to get to that level. When you have all that extra stuff, and that's kind of your job, is to help guide them to that, realization where like, they're like, fuck, like I've got to get in bed now, because, and even though I want to go out and party with my friends, or like,
Yeah.
I can't go out this weekend because, you know, I have this huge training session on Saturday and Sunday, or, you know, I have to weigh and measure my food and I can't go out to
Yeah.
eat tonight. Or,
Yeah.
and when people start to, you know, see that and realize that, they start to kind of understand like, wow, there's a lot that goes into this. And like, you know, lines of communication are open again, and we can have that conversation about like, you know, is this something that you really want to do? Like, do you really want to, you know, put in the work and the dedication and the sacrifice that does come with being or going or achieving whatever it is your goal is, you know?
Yeah. Yep.
So
Yeah, having that honest conversation about, I don't know if sacrifice is the right word, but like of what, like, all right, you want to achieve the highest level. Your entire day needs to revolve around it.
mm-hmm.
Your nutrition, your sleep, what you're doing in your downtime, like, and understanding the demands of that, and then helping the athlete understand their why, and like, if their why is in the right place, yeah, you can step up and do all those little things. If
Mm-hmm.
they're doing it because of another reason, well, okay, let's tailor our training and tailor and help you understand what your goal should be based on what you really want.
Yeah. Yep. And yeah, for sure. And then, and those, again, that's the benefit of having a coach and helping them kind of like guide them and realize like what it is that they're truly looking for. So, what, before we kind of wrap up here, what are your guys' thought process or thoughts on like, because I know you kind of hear this a lot in like college football, for example, is like, I think Nick Saban is big on this, Roll Tide, but coaching the individual and making the individual a better person almost always produces better athletes, is kind of like his philosophy on coaching. Is that kind of what you guys like, your guys's kind of philosophy on coaching, or what are your guys' thoughts on that?
So coaching the traits that will lead to success instead of like the actual raw skills themselves. So like really focusing on instilling discipline, perseverance, you know, willingness to suffer in your athletes first, and then that will produce buy-in, success, and what their goals, or you know, achieve their goals that they set out to. Is that kind of what it entails?
Yeah. And like, I think it's just like along the lines of teaching like the life lessons that you need that accompany success. So like, dedication, like discipline, being in honest, like integrity, like doing the right thing when nobody's looking, honesty, you know, I think things like that are what you're looking at coaching, and that will lead to more success inside of your sport or the gym.
I definitely, like, one of my biggest things is really getting my athletes to perform consistently in training and show up every day, no matter what type of life stress is going on. Like literally, like no matter how stressed out you are in the gym, no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually just had a conversation with one of my athletes that did really well in a qualifier just recently. And she's been going through like a big like business decision and moving and lots of money, financial stress, but was still able to like execute a really good performance. And like, especially in like a sport like CrossFit where it's so chaotic, like if you learn how to manage stress and still be able to show up every day, like when you get to competition, it's like that's your everyday, because every day you came in, you had 9 million things on your mind, but you didn't let it bother you. You got down to it. And so while other people that may have not done that, showing up on competition stressed out, things aren't going their way, XYZ is, going wrong. This is your everyday. This is your everyday, and you're able to perform. And that's why I'm so big. Like I've said it before, like if you're dog tired, you're stressed, and finish the workout. Always finish your workout. And there are certain times where it's like, yeah, you just got to cut it short, but just finish it. Because like there's something just about showing up, no matter the circumstances. That's why I'm not really a big fan of whoops, like or anything to like not encourage you to train. Because like what happens on competition day when you sleep for 3 hours because you got stressed out because you had a weakness workout the next day, like something like that. Like it, that's personal opinion. That doesn't, if you have a whoop, don't throw it away.
Whoop, we're still also looking for a sponsorship.
yeah. But yeah, and that would probably be my biggest, I try to get across, because I've seen it in my personal life and training where, no matter the circumstances, even if I was tired, I still got it done. Might have not been at the right intensity because I was, had a bad day, whatever, but I got it done. And, I think that it's led to consistency across years of training and competing.
Yeah. Logan just had his best qualifier ever. So would agree with that.
Yeah.
So yeah, for sure. That's a conversation that I like to have with people is like, look, you're not like showing up today, even though you're stressed out and like not going to be able to give 100%. It's not going to reflect tomorrow in training. It's not going to reflect 2 weeks from now. It's not going to reflect maybe even 2 months from now. But 6 months down the road, like if you're showing up and you're just giving it everything you have for that day, it's going to show up and you're going to see the results and you're going to see the benefits of it. And like, kind of like what you're saying, like it might not be, 100% intensity. It might be, 70% intensity, but like you showed up, you got the work in, and your body is going to adapt to that in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
So cool.
Just on that point. So I think that's more of a mindset for a competitive individual.
Yes.
So just want to make sure we have that clarification there.
For sure.
Because with that, like you're building a competitor's mindset. So that's where the biggest benefit is coming from. Even if you're hitting it with lower intensity, you're developing that mindset of like, I got to get this shit done. Doesn't matter how. And then just a quick thing about the whoop. Your recovery score doesn't actually tell you how well you're going to perform that day. All it does is say how you're going to recover from that day's stress. So like you could have no sleep and you could be in the red, but you could PR everything and crush everything. It just means it's probably going to take you a little while to recover.
I actually have a theory on that you lift a little bit better after lighter sleep or less sleep if you've been slept up to that point. Because I think your central nervous system is in is in a higher sympathetic state from the lack of sleep. So
I think they did a study with USA weightlifters where they gave them 1 night of sleep deprivation and it didn't affect what they could lift.
Fuck yeah, ahead of the science.
That's what y'all need to do. Just don't sleep. Don't sleep, and you'll PR.
Competition night prep. Don't sleep.
Just don't sleep.
That'll be our next podcast. We'll talk about not sleep.
Don't sleep. Don't eat. Don't.
Yeah. Don't train either.
Yeah.
Just don't train. Cool. Well, thanks for jumping on the podcast, guys. Couple shout outs. Logan just finished TFX qualifier, finished in top 10. Carrie also finished in the top 10. Both their teams qualified. They were both their team, or we had 2 teams. Sorry, Logan and Carrie's team won the team side, and then we had another team that was in the top 3. So shout out to everybody that had competed in the fittest experience this last weekend. Everybody freaking killed it. some awesome performances. So if you guys are done listening to this, or if you guys listen to this all the way through, give us a follow on Instagram, blacklisted.hq. If you guys are watching or listening on iTunes or Spotify, head over to Instagram and give us a follow. If you guys are on Instagram, or if you guys are listening on Spotify or iTunes, go to YouTube, follow us on YouTube, or subscribe to us on YouTube. We put out a couple more videos other than this. If you guys are listening or watching this on YouTube, you can also listen on iTunes or Spotify, and head over and follow us on Instagram. So cool. Thanks for coming on, guys. And we will chat with you next time.